Well, good day. Welcome to the Earl Smith Show. My name is Earl Smith. This is the first installment of a program I've been working on for some time, and it's also the first program where I've done some of the taping on location, which was kind of challenging, but all in all, a lot of fun. I'm hoping that most of you will find this program interesting and informational, and we're going to get started. Today, we're talking about cigars. And I will be the first to acknowledge that once in a while I enjoy a good hand-rolled cigar, and maybe on occasion a little taste of a nice bourbon to go with that cigar. In the interest of transparency, I want to assure you that I am in no way an authority on cigars. I have been an occasional cigar smoker since I was a teenager. I think that started when one of my friends, whose father was in fact a cigar salesman, probably borrowed a couple of cigars for us to smoke as teenagers. So it was kind of a long time ago, quite frankly, but over the years I've learned a lot, continue to try and learn more, and today I'm going to share some things with you that I hope you'll find interesting. And again, this is part one of a multi-segment program. This is going to be talking about specifics of cigars, the wrappers, the process of lighting a cigar, and some of the background information on where cigars came from. So stay with me. I hope you're going to enjoy this. I think a lot of folks, when you hear the term cigars, give thought to the inexpensive machine-made cigars that you often find in your local carryout, maybe the gas station, and they certainly have their place. But I'm going to be talking about fine premium hand-rolled cigars. These cigars can be as complex to create as a fine wine. Over time, I began to notice the differences between various cigar brands and tobaccos and sizes and shapes, and I learned that how I smoked a cigar also made a big difference in my enjoyment. But now, these many years into it, I know that this is a really complex and interesting topic. I'm hoping to share some of what I have learned with you. And again, let me be clear, I'm not an expert, but I have been fortunate to have met some very knowledgeable people in the business. I've actually been able to meet members of some of the old families who have been handcrafting premium cigars, in some cases for many generations. I have been able to attend the Big Smoke, which is an event presented by the Cigar Aficionado magazine. It's a pretty amazing event where thousands of fellow cigar lovers of every race, ethnicity, and nationality come together to try new and different cigars. Typically, they gather in major conference centers in places like Chicago or Hollywood, Florida, or even Las Vegas. But all of them come to enjoy great food, fine drink, premium cigars, as well as very interesting company, all in one location. And I'll assure you, this isn't just a passing fad. It's truly an all-encompassing lifestyle. And as for myself, I've continued to try to learn more every time I get to sample a different cigar. Many notable celebrities, political figures, business leaders, they were all cigar smokers. If you take a look at some of these notable cigar smokers, you're going to recognize some of these faces. If you're enjoying a good cigar today, you are in very good company, with a wide range of people sharing a common passion. But where did the first cigars really come from? It is believed that the first cigar, although not exactly like what we would envision today, was invented by the ancient Mayans. In fact, there are images dating back centuries showing Mayan priests and others puffing on their version of a cigar. Centuries later, Christopher Columbus and his men were likely the first Westerners to come into contact with tobacco when local Indians introduced the tobacco plant by way of trade. There's even a story that one of Columbus's lieutenants smoked every single day on his long voyage home. Smoking tobacco caught on in Portugal and Spain. France too joined the trend when their ambassador to Portugal, Jean Nicot, where the word nicotine came from, brought tobacco smoking home. Most European cigars originally came from Spain. Then the Spanish discovered that Cuba was well suited to growing tobacco. That is why Cuban cigars became so famous. When Spain was working to dominate that industry, makers moved their operations to Key West, Florida. Some went to the Philippines, which was at that time still a Spanish colony. And believe it or not, New York became yet another popular spot for cigar manufacturers, although later, politicians pretty much forced them out of that city. There was a very strong cigar culture in Florida. Commercial rolling was begun on a small scale by Cuban immigrants as early as the 1830s. But the first Cuban cigar factory was established in 1867 by a German immigrant, Samuel Seidenberg, who had been a New York cigar manufacturer. Consequently, Key West became a major player in the making of Havana leaf cigars in the late 1860s. Political and economic issues in Cuba caused Cuban maker Martinez Ybor to move his operations to Tampa, staffed by Cuban immigrants. The area where this manufacturing was occurring became known as Ybor City. Many other makers established operations there, and by 1900 there were about 129 cigar factories in Ybor City. And in fact, over 12,000 Tampans were working in that industry. So let's begin to talk about the cigars themselves. In general, there are a dozen common sizes, but some cigars are smaller, while others may reach a ring size of over 1 inch in diameter. You will often hear cigars referred to by two different numbers, the length and the ring size, a measurement for the diameter of a cigar based on 64ths of an inch. In other words, a 40 ring gauge cigar is 40/64ths of an inch thick, and a 64 ring gauge cigar would be 1 inch in diameter. The actual process of growing a top-notch tobacco to create premium hand-rolled cigars is far more complex than you might think. In fact, there's a lot of science and maybe even a little bit of magic involved. The climate, the seed, and the soil makeup will have a major impact on flavor, not unlike with fine wines. After tobacco is grown and harvested, it is aged. Cigar makers ferment tobacco in large bales. And again, like fine wines or great bourbons, aging is crucial to nuancing the flavor and improving the finished product. There is an almost countless variety of cigars available to the new or experienced smoker. You can learn much from one of the many books written for and about cigars and the cigar smokers themselves. Or you can turn to an elegant magazine such as a Cigar Aficionado. But to get you started, I'm going to discuss some factors that may impact your cigar choices. A cigar shape can vary greatly in size from brand to brand, so describing a cigar by its size as well as its shape is important. Cigars are measured by two factors, the length, which is given in inches, and as I mentioned before, the ring gauge, a designation of a cigar's diameter broken into 64ths of an inch. In other words, as I mentioned, 42 ring gauge is 42/64ths of an inch in diameter. As Cigar Aficionado magazine notes, there is no correlation between the size of a cigar and its strength. An 8-inch cigar made with mild tobaccos will be mellow, while a thin, short cigar rolled with powerful tobaccos will be very full-bodied. While a cigar's strength is determined by the tobacco it is rolled with, thinner cigars may burn hotter than fatter ones. And it's also important to note that there is no consistency of strength from brand to brand. One company's Corona is likely to taste very different from another's. One of the things that comes up is cigar costs. As I have learned more about cigars, I have often wondered about the actual cost of making a cigar. Well, it turns out that the cost can be as little as 30 cents when using cheap tobacco to more than $5 for a premium cigar. Then add other factors into the process, and a really fine cigar can cost over $50 each. Yes, there are cheap cigars available, typically machine-made and using less than high-quality tobaccos, and that's fine. But when you factor in the costs associated with using the best aged tobaccos, climate, skilled labor, demand, rarity, and taxes, cheap quality cigars, well, they're simply not possible. Enjoying your fine cigar. Well, let's take a few minutes and talk about the process of cutting and lighting your expensive cigar. Yes, there are many different ways to do the cut of the cap on your cigar. Let's start by looking at the anatomy of a fine cigar. The three major construction components of a hand-rolled cigar are the filler, the binder, and the wrapper. Combined, they create the cigar structure. And actually looking at the cigar, there's basically the cap, the body, and the foot. For our purposes of lighting our cigar, we'll start with the cap. In most cases, your cigar tip, that's what will go into your mouth and through which you will bring the cigar smoke into your mouth, will be sealed by the cap. So you'll need to create an opening through which you can draw smoke into your mouth. Personal preferences have led to a variety of devices to cut the cigar cap. Generally speaking, there is the guillotine cutter, the cigar scissor, the V-cut cutter, and the punch or hole cutter. But how do we light our cigar? Well, it turns out here too there are differences of opinion. I have found that most serious cigar lovers will not use a match because there's sulfur from the ignition material that can affect the flavor, or a traditional lighter, fluid lighter, again due to the flavors from the liquid fuel. Most likely opt for one of dozens of butane lighter designs, and some even use a sliver of cedar, burning cedar, to light their cigar. The last thing I want to mention in this installment is cigar ash. You may have seen someone smoke a quality cigar with a very long ash. Later we're going to discuss how the cigar ash can actually impact your smoke. Believe it or not, there are even contests to see how long an ash a smoker can create where it falls off, which we call ashing. At some point in time you will have the ash land in your lap or on your table or whatever. Just clean it up and move on. It's just a part of the process. And when the fine cigar buyer comes into a good cigar lounge, he or she, yes, women are an increasing part of those who enjoy a good cigar, will likely find a clean, well-ventilated lounge with comfortable chairs and tables to sit at, whether to work or simply visit. I've observed fellow customers snoozing away as they enjoy their brief escape from the day. Most newer lounges also have one or more big-screen televisions with cable to accommodate the entertainment tastes of their customers. Many even permit food and drink. Oftentimes there's a refrigerator there with soft drinks and ice. In fact, the truth is that cigar customers of today enjoy what is in reality a culture, a lifestyle. Diverse backgrounds and perspectives on the world that surrounds us seldom brings a loud level of discourse in a cigar lounge. Most cigar shop smokers prize both courtesy and a welcoming environment. Sadly, this is infrequent in so many other places today. So enjoy your adventure into a new sensory experience. We'll share more things with you soon. Thanks for listening, and as always, watch for the upcoming segments of this program. Please share this video and like it on YouTube and on Facebook. I appreciate it, and I look forward to you joining us very soon.
A los bochincheros le voy a aconsejar.